Hi, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel. I'm going to demonstrate how to make this fall holiday pillow, and I'm doing it in cross stitch. And if you've not done cross stitch before, I have some tutorials on some of the basic cross stitches that you would need to know in order to do this. Now in this tutorial I'm turning it into a pillow and I show you how to do that. I'll show you how to put this cute pom-pom fringe on it. Now, if you're not into cross stitch, it's just not something you want to do, but you'd still like to make a fall pillow, I used this fall holiday fabric, and I just purchased a fat quarter, and I purchased another fat quarter that's different for fabric that's on the back. So you can still make this pillow without doing the cross stitch. All right, let me show you what you need. This is the book I'm working out of for the letters, Happy Thanksgiving. So it's by Leisure Arts and Hirschner's, and it's alphabets to stitch, cross stitch. And I love this book because some of the alphabets are really large. So look at these monogram letters, really big. And this is the lettering design that I'm using, this one right up here. Now it shows using I think three different colors of thread. I'm just using one color. So you have the option of using three if you want to, but I'm just going to use one. And my Happy Thanksgiving letters are in a chocolate brown. You're going to need to make 2 copies of this. So go to your photocopier printer or go to a copy center if you don't have a printer of your own, and make 2 copies of this. And then you can individually cut out the letters that you need. Now I'll show you how to set that up. So you're going to cut out the letters for Happy Thanksgiving. Now let's look at the book that I'm getting the turkey pattern out of. This is the book that I'm getting the turkey pattern out of, and I absolutely love this book. It's worth the money. It's by Better Homes and Gardens, and it's called 2001 Cross Stitch Designs. And there's everything imaginable in this book. There's for all seasons, all different types of events. They've got big patterns, small patterns, everything. For children, adults, sports, everything. So I'm thumbing through this really fast, but we're going to go to the page where the turkey is. So here's the turkey right here. Isn't that a beautiful turkey design? Now, if you didn't want to use the turkey, you don't have to. Look at this cornucopia. Or if you just want a couple of little small things, they've got a pumpkin and an acorn and corn on the cob, so, and maple leaves and pilgrims. So you can choose one of the others, but I just love the turkey. So if you go to the next page is where the pattern is, right here. So here's the pattern, and it's a really small print. So what I did was, in my photocopier printer, I enlarged it so that I could read it a little easier. I've found that as I've gotten older, my eyes have gotten older, of course, and so I don't see as well. Also, over on this other page, right here, lists the DMC thread. So you look for the little symbol that's on your pattern, and it lists the colors. So let's look at some of the DMC thread. So here are the colors that I got. Now, I bought my thread at Walmart because they do have embroidery thread, but the problem I had was they didn't have all the colors that were recommended. Remember, they're just recommending colors. That doesn't mean if you don't have those colors, you can't do it. So I had to substitute and pick other colors that were maybe in that range. If it was a yellow, I picked the next one next to it in the range. So here is the symbols, okay, that were next to the colors needed. This is what they recommended. Here are the numbers right here that they recommended, and this is DMC thread. They also have another brand in there called Anchor thread. I've never used it. I don't even know where to find it. But so either one. So here's what I'm using over here. So some of the numbers were exactly the same. Others, I picked a color that was next to it. And then this one here, this is Coates and Clark. They just had a bunch of little generic colors with no numbers on it, and it happened to be this green right here. So if you can get the colors exactly as listed, great, but don't worry about substituting other colors. So to set up your design, I drew some lines. So this went right down the center this way and down the center here. And I put little dark arrows there to indicate to myself, this is center. This is the very center of your Aida cloth. So this is where my Happy Thanksgiving is going to go, and below that center line is where the turkey is going to go. So let me show you how I set it up. All right. So here's that center line right here. I'm going to go for the Thanksgiving word right here. I'm going to go about 2 rows above that center line. And for the turkey, about 2 rows below the center lines. But you can put it anywhere you want. The very center of the design is the letter S right down here in the bottom left corner of the letter S. And then right here in the top of the letter P, the first P in happy, is the center. And the turkey center is right about in here, where you see it. You'll see I've written numbers down here. These numbers represent how many stitches across in each of these designs. So the letter T has 9, the letter H has 8, and so forth, all the way across. The little dash line represents the number of spaces I'm putting in between the letters, which I recommend you just put 1. You want to total all those up. Now, I've already totaled them for you, so you don't need to do this now. But if you were designing one yourself, total them up. I have a little calculator I use, and I total them up. Make sure you include the number of spaces. I did the same thing for happy. Then I taped the letters close together. You can see how I positioned them. The top of most of the letters are right about in alignment with each other. And then here, the bottom. Now the G, both G's are going below the letter, the word. So you can see how I have it laid out. And then the same thing with happy. The PPY starts below the line. So you can see how I've lined up. Now you can make your letters going every which way, topsy-turvy, up, down, whatever you want to do, if you're trying to make kind of a funky looking design. But you also need to count how many stitches from the top of the H all the way down to the bottom of the turkey. And I totaled those all up. So it came to where Happy Thanksgiving is 45 stitches high, and then the turkey was also 45 stitches high. So this was really easy to center. You don't always get that lucky. So that's why I placed the turkey just 2 lines below, 2 rows of stitching, and then 2 rows above. So that's how I came to my center. And to calculate you're going across this way, if you want to do something different, just use a calculator to help you tally it all up. I also enlarged the turkey because it was really hard to see these tiny little symbols. So I blew it up in my photocopier printer. And one thing I like to do that I find very helpful when doing cross stitches, as I finish a section, I take a highlighter and I mark it. So I know that I've already done that section and I know where to start next. If you're thinking this is an awful lot of work that you have to do, yes, but you save a lot of money. I went to stitchery.com. They have a lot of beautiful patterns in there and kits. When you get a kit, all you get is the Aida cloth and the embroidery thread or the floss. You don't usually get a hoop, and you don't get the picture frame to put it in a picture frame if you want it. And there's no instructions on how to make it in a pillow. So I looked at the cheapest one I could find that had a fall theme to it, and it was small, 5 by 7, $16.99 plus shipping, $8.99. It came out to $25.98. All you got was just the floss and the Aida cloth. So by buying just one book the largest, the Better Homes and Gardens book is about this price, and you can get it on Amazon. There'll be a link below your screen. You've already got hundreds of projects compared to this. This is the Aida cloth that I'm using, and here is the brand. I bought it at Walmart. It was very inexpensive, and it's Charles Craft, I believe, Carolina linen. Remember, you can use any color you like. There's even a darker Aida cloth that was available there, and of course you can always use white. So I've already done Happy Thanksgiving, and right here you're going to see a straight pin. That's where my center is. When I mark the center on my Aida cloth, I mark it on the back. This way I don't have any marks that are going to show through on the front. And then I just stick a straight pin so that I know where to start stitching, because I don't want any marks showing through at all. So first I did the letter S and G, and I just kind of kept working out this way. Then I went back and worked out going the opposite way. Then I went up here and did the letter P, worked back out that way, and then finished with the A and then the H. So that's the easiest way to do it. Start from the center and work your way out. If you try to count over all of those stitches and start over here to the left, you're probably going to count wrong. Because I've done that, and it never works out well. So always start in the center. The turkey so far is real easy to start. I just start at the top of the turkey because this was one of the easier designs. It's the same amount of rows of stitches up here as it is down there. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish working on the turkey. Well, my turkey section is all done now. So after you get it done, you can cut this down to any size that you want. I just wanted a small accent pillow, so I've cut mine down to 10 inches square. Then on the back, I cut another piece of plain fabric out that was also 10 inches square. And then I did a zigzag stitch all the way around all 4 edges, and that only binds the edges, but it also prevents any type of polyfill stuffing protruding through there. Now, as far as the fabric for the back of the pillow, this is what I'm using. So you want to cut the fabric for the back the same size as your front piece is. So since mine's 10 inches, I've cut a square, 10 inches square, and then I've also cut out a piece of cotton batting that's 10 inches square. Now you'll see all these little squiggly lines. Those are called quilting stitches. And so I recommend that you do that so that the cotton batting does not separate and kind of pull apart from itself. So you can do straight lines of stitching. In other words, you could go straight across like this, then go over the other way, or do it on a diagonal as I did. I started in the middle and then went out every few inches and did it. And then I turned and went in the other direction, repeating the same process. I recommend when you do quilting stitches that you use a walking foot. That's what this is right here. And this little piece here goes up over the screw that holds your sewing machine needle in. If you don't put that there, this foot isn't going to work. It's going to wobble all over the place. So you use this, and this helps to prevent pin tucks or the fabric shifting when you're doing quilting stitches over the cotton batting like this. If you don't have this, you can still do it with a regular presser foot, but go slow, kind of stretch your fabric a little bit so that you don't get little pin tucks, because the fabric will also shift. So what I recommend you do is scatter some straight pins all over to hold the fabric in place while you do this. I originally was going to put piping on this pillow, but after putting it on, it wasn't working out so good because the fabric is so thick, your Aida cloth, going through all those layers, it was just too much. So I took it off and I decided to put the pom-pom fringe on. It's going to be a lot easier to do. So I'm using a Simplicity pom-pom fringe. You can get this at Joann Fabrics and Crafts, and when I purchased it, it was 2 for 1. And you get a yard and a half per spool. Walmart used to carry it, but I noticed my local Walmart doesn't have this brand anymore. I'm going to use this little narrow zipper foot to put it on with. You also might have a foot that looks like this. This goes to my Viking, and it's used for putting on piping and fringe like this. But you can also use your zipper foot. Just remember when you're doing this, you're going to have to move the needle over to the side that's closest to the little pom-poms when you're doing it. You can either attach the pom-pom fringe to the fabric for the back or the cross-stitch piece on the Aida cloth. Either one, it doesn't matter. You want to place it on the front side of your fabric or Aida cloth. Place it a little ways from the edge, from the raw edge, and start in the middle and place it. And then taking your presser foot, now I don't pin this down, it's easier just to line it up as you go, stitch a little bit, line it up. So you're going to be like this, and again, you want to have the needle moved over to the side that's closest to the pom-poms. And right now you're just going to do a basting stitch, just to hold it on until you're ready to put your front piece on, your Aida cloth. So go ahead and do a basting stitch. When you get here to the corner, leave your needle down through the fabric, then lift up your presser foot and turn it and begin lining this up and continue stitching. When you get close to where you started, you want to cut whatever excess off that you have. Now I'm letting the little band here just overlap a little bit towards the other band and then finish stitching it off. Now take your front piece, your cross stitch piece, the Aida cloth, and you're going to bring it front side down against this. So now you've got the piping in between your two layers. And on this, you're going to leave an opening that's big enough for you to insert your polyfill stuffing. Now you might have a little bit of trouble pinning this down. I wouldn't try to go too crazy with the pinning. You'll probably have to kind of pull the sides in place because you're pulling it over this pom-pom fringe. So then go ahead and stitch around all 4 sides, back stitch on each side of your opening. Make sure you still use your little zipper foot or whatever type of presser foot you're going to use, because you still need to stitch up close to those little pom-poms. So here's each side of my opening, and again, back stitch on each side of your opening. After stitching, you want to go to all four corners and trim some of the fabric off because it'll be really bulky in the corner and it won't lay very nice. So I wouldn't trim it any less than 1/8 of an inch wide. So go straight across this way at a diagonal. And I'm using my rotary cutter because it's so thick, it's going to be hard to trim it with scissors. And then just take a little bit off on each side. And again, you do that at all four corners. Now reach in through your opening and begin pushing the front side, the pretty side, of the pillow out. Now it's time to put the polyfill stuffing in. Now you can get polyfill stuffing at some Walmarts, not all, but you can also get it at Joann Fabrics and Crafts, and you can also go on the internet and purchase it from there. So when you get it, you want to just take it out and break it into smaller pieces. You don't want to put in too thick of clumps. You want to keep it kind of small. Then go in, and I like pushing it all the way to the back corners first. I like filling in my corners, then the rest of the back, and work my way forward. Once you have it all stuffed, then take your opening edges and turn it in. You may want to press this. Turn it in 1/4 of an inch and then close it up by doing something called a ladder stitch. If you do not know how to do a ladder stitch, it's a hidden stitch. You can't see it once it's all done. That's why it's such a cool stitch. Then go below your YouTube screen and there's going to be a link down there to my tutorial on how to do it. I break it down step by step. So go ahead and do your ladder stitch. Well, here it is. It's all done. I really had a good time making this. Well, I hope you enjoyed this project. If you're interested in other cross-stitch projects, links will be listed below your YouTube screen. Or if you're interested in other types of pillow projects to do, you'll also find links down there and a few other beginner sewing projects. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you'll receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl. This is Manny. See you next time.